We're back again for another session of Q&A. So thank you once more for all your questions. We are loving coming back to you with more things to think about. So what fluids and parts need to be changed every certain number of kilometers and mostly for preventative maintenance? That's not mine.
You're giving it to me.
Yeah, that's not mine.
Okay, so you hear me go on about preventative maintenance, and people often ask me, what spares should I take? What do I need to do to the vehicle? You know, when you're building up the vehicle, you're going to build back in that reliability. So you're going to start off with a base level where all the fluids are new, all the filters are new, and you're going to head off on your trip. Now, I generally ask people to check their vehicle every 5,000 kilometers, because for me, that's really important. At that 5,000 kilometer mark, it gives you a very good opportunity to thoroughly check the vehicle through. And if you're not mechanically inclined, you've got someone with a mechanical aptitude who can again look carefully at your vehicle and pick up problems before they really become an issue. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to, as part of your responsibility driving the car, it's to make sure that you look, listen, check your daily checks, your weekly checks. That's your responsibility. That's part of looking after your vehicle. But for those of you who don't have an in-depth mechanical ability, or you're not as tuned into the vehicle, you're going to rely on someone else to help you do that. And that's where your 5,000 kilometer checkup comes. Clean the air filter out, it's probably still clean. Change the oil and oil filter, perfect. Depending on where you've driven, would you change the fuel filter? Maybe, depending if you've taken a lot of suspect fuel. You can always check some of the fuel filters when you look through the little glass bowl and see if there's any sediment or coloration in that fuel. And if there isn't, run the fuel filters till the 10,000K service. So that's, along with that, you are carrying some fluids so that if you need to top up anything, you've got that in your car. And generally it's half a litre of every type of fluid in the vehicle. And that's part of what forms a repair kit, which we go to in a lot more depth on the other channels. So does that answer our question?
I think it's good enough for now. Overlanding advice for beginners with a low budget. And this is a really good question. Firstly, you want to check out how much you love overlanding. So go easy on yourself, and if you've got a car or an SUV, take minimal amount of kit. What do you need? You need a tent, you need warm clothing, and you need some food. Do a bit of research on campsites to make sure that you're comfortable with where you're going and the road that you're going to travel on. Next phase is, if you're liking it a bit more, what you want to do is maybe rent a four-wheel drive, because it's a costly hobby to go down a road and say, oops, this is not for me. So rent one with a rooftop tent, with the kit, and experience it. Then it's an evolution. It's not something that you are going to bomb into, whether you've got the budget or not. Try it out to see if it suits you, and if what you need is possible on the trip, depending on the type of overland travel you're going to do. So low budget, the best way to do it is start small, and your basics are your protection in clothing, your shelter, and your food. And check out your campsites.
Yeah, Joe's right. I think, there's no need to go and buy every gadget. And I think as we get interested in a certain topic, if it's photography or if it's overlanding, we tend to read all the blogs. We tend to immerse ourselves in a whole lot of information. Now, this information is overwhelming because you're going to see everyone who's got all the kit, everything that you need, and you almost believe you've got to have everything. And I go back to the values: simplicity, safety, and reliability. Take on the responsibility. If you've got an older vehicle, make sure that it's at least reliable, that you've had it checked over. Do shorter trips close by so you can gain the knowledge. Build up your skill level. I always say, knowledge is powerful. Take more knowledge and less gear, and you can get away with very simple gears.
And in fact, a lot of our clients are coming back and saying, we took too much, we bought too much, we don't need it, and they're slimming down after each trip. So,
which is an evolution. And we take a gas cooker. There's nothing wrong with these small, simple cheap gas cookers which have a little canister that you screw in. Even the round, small camping ones. Yeah. You can get those in Africa, all the way up through to Tanzania. So again, when you're looking at equipment you're buying, you can weigh up what's the weight, because if you're going on a budget, the lighter you are, the less you have to spend on your car to modify it. Get that knowledge, that skill sets you take with you everywhere.
So the next one is, how can we prepare ourselves medically? The best way to start is to go and do some research and find a reliable first aid course that is highly recommended. So you don't just get the information, but you get to learn some of the skills that are going to be really important. Go to a travel clinic, find out what vaccinations you need per country that you're going to. Go to your doctor, make sure you've got your medicines for whatever period of time you're traveling, or get a script and make sure that you can get it in another country, your supplements, all of that stuff. So the basics you need to know, because you could be stuck out there, and help, even if you have a sat phone or your phone, it still takes time for somebody to get to you. So you need to learn the basics and take that responsibility. And it's not just one or either, it's both of you.
Yeah, and it's true. And I've been on many expeditions and had my own experiences of having to deal with accidents and help people. So I generally carry a trauma bag as a separate little bag, and that I'm really happy to help anyone with, because trauma is trauma. And if you arrive at an accident, you only need to do 2 or 3 life-saving maneuvers, like keep an airway open or stop bleeding, to save someone's life. So that's very much a bag I can grab and head out. I do a whole module on accident management, and it's important that people understand what to do in the event of an accident. Your biggest risk is an accident. So being prepared for that mentally, so that you both take that responsibility, as Joe said, find a first aid course that teaches you that deals with vehicle accidents. Most of them are geared towards hiking, which is fine, but you need to know that your vehicle and being in an accident is your biggest risk. But it is taking that responsibility, and as Joe said, your critical medicines, you need to make sure you have enough and you carry the scripts. Glasses too. People don't think about glasses.
It's a spare pair.
Spare pair of glasses, and carry the script.
Yeah.
So it's a very important topic. It's about managing that. And if you're going to go into areas where there's malaria and that, take responsibility to make sure, is there bilharzia in the dams? Is there malaria? Understand the consequences of where you're traveling so that you can prepare yourself with prophylactics or treatments. So very important. And I'm very passionate about this because of the experiences we've had over the years with expeditions. Yeah. Communications is another topic we'll talk about at some stage, but it's a critical topic in the instance of an accident.
And actually we have a question on communication. What are the communication devices that are recommended to take on a trip? And it's very important. So your mobile phone, obviously. And somebody asked a question on an email the other day around SIM cards per country. We do recommend that, so that you are on the local networks. Garmin's, sat phones and spots, and Paul has a lot of experience of why you should use them. People often say they're so expensive, and is it absolutely necessary if you've got a mobile phone? Yes, it is. So I'm going to let Paul drive that point home.
It's a very interesting point to drive home. People ask me, why am I taking a satellite phone? It is very expensive. We could take a smaller device like a Garmin enrich. Perfect, you could do that. But the challenge is that when you're in the middle of nowhere with no cellular signal and an accident happens, as it did to me in South America, I'm only sitting here today because I had a satellite phone. A satellite phone that actually saved my life. So every expedition, that is a small price to pay to make sure that you have connectivity to get some help. A GPS is there to not only guide you on your route with different maps and that, but more critically to show you where you are, so that in the event of a situation you can get help. And whatever protocols you have, it's important not only to have the devices, but to make sure that the people back home have the numbers connected to your phones, your satellite phone. Understand that if you ring through, the satellite phone is a different number. It has a delay on the line, so that someone can help you in the event of you needing that help. It's a critical time when you need communications. It's normally when everything's gone wrong, you're not thinking straight. But if you've spoken about these protocols, these situations, you've discussed what if, and that what if is going to give you mental preparation. And it's important that you both talk about it. What if we have an accident? Where is the satellite phone? Are the numbers programmed in? Who do we call? Do we have the medical insurance evacuation numbers to hand? What are their protocols and what do they require? These are the critical bits of information that when it's all swirling around, you need to basically make sense of that and be clear with your communications.
And also when you're traveling remotely and people don't really know where you are and how they can reach you if they need you, it's really useful to just drop them a message every couple of days and have an agreed day or within a 24-hour period, because when you don't, maybe somebody needs to come and find you because maybe you're both stranded and you can't get to anything. So have regular communication points to the outside world, so it's peace of mind for you and for them.
And a great device for that is the Spot. The Spot is a little tracking device. You get other types of them, but I like the Spot. You can pre-nominate different email addresses and you can just push a button, it says, I'm okay, lands on the computer, someone's inbox, and it opens up a Google Earth link to where you pressed the Spot button.
Yeah.
So it's great. In the old days, you couldn't let people know where you were, and it was a bit of hit and miss until they got to a phone. There's no excuse these days. We've got the communications. You can keep people at home at, peace of mind, safe, not worrying about you. And it's always a concern when people go off into the wilderness.
Well, true story is when Paul was on the Canning Stock route for 8 weeks plus, there's no phone, no network, no nothing. And the only way that I knew when he was in Australia and I'm in South Africa that he was okay between wells in the desert outback is getting a spot at 6 o'clock every night.
Sat phone, actually.
Sorry, was it a sat
phone?
Yeah.
Message, yeah.
And if I didn't get that, I was worried. And they did forget one night, but create the habit for your peace of mind and others.
Yeah, all good. So it's a very important responsibility. Take it on, and again, make sure that you're safe. That's all we want.
So on that note, till the next time, please continue to like, subscribe and share. And we'd love you to support us through Patreon. So click on the link below.